Okay, let's see. So I'm just waiting for YouTube to load up here. Yep, starting stream health. Great. Looks like we are finally live. Again, it's been a week since my last broadcast. And last week we drew out a bunch of, well, at least I drew out a bunch of alien concepts. Let's see. I'm just going to go over them again. And this week, I just want to go through some of the ones that I like and kind of flesh them out a little bit more, make them look a little bit, well, not a little bit, but a lot of bit more complete. You can see here I already started on this guy. So this is the quality that I'm looking for in terms of all of these sketches that I have here. I'm going to turn up the opacity so you can see what I'm talking about. Got some bugs. This looks very much like a beetle. You know those beetles? I don't really know what they're called, but it definitely looks like a beetle. But I like this sketch. I think the sketch came up pretty nice. So I'm gonna, especially this one right here. I think this one's pretty cool. There's some cool stuff going on here with these sort of wings. So I'm gonna play with that. And what else do we have? I have this sort of penis-looking monster. That was kind of a joke. I think I'll leave that one be. And then I have some more, and this one came out pretty cool. This fish, which I think is pretty nice. So I'm gonna cut that one out and work with that one as well. Okay. So let's go to our first drawing here. Trying to figure out some characters. I'm gonna call this alien. I'll call this biped. Biped sketch. Bless me. We'll call this bug sketch. And this will be like a fine draw. Bug fine draw. We can call this guy Skeet, because that's kind of what he is, really. And this will be a frozen land sketch. So basically what all of these aliens are... Oh yeah, there's this as well. And then anything else? No. So what these are is... Starting to layer. They're all concepts for a world that I'm developing. Well, that me and my brother are developing. And essentially a bunch of aliens. It's a pretty deep science fiction story. And the gist of it is a bunch of aliens live on a planet, on a shared planet. And, well, that's all I'm going to tell you for now, because I don't want to get too deep into it. But it involves a lot of different alien races. So I'm imagining that there will be some marketplaces and you know, some things of that nature, some kind of Star Wars sort of. I'm thinking not the original Star Wars, but the newer Star Wars. The one, what the hell was that called? Maybe this guy's a little bit squatter and fatter. Okay. Yes, what the hell was I saying? Star Wars. So I'm just going to pick out the ones that I want. And I like this guy. think I'll work a little bit more on the sketch. I'm going to work just a tiny bit more on the sketches. And I think this guy has some potential. Actually, no, he's a little too normal. I'm going to mess with this guy. Kind of like this sort of octopus looking thing. Okay, so we have 3. Let's see, what is that? Okay, so I'm going to put this in a group. GRP, alien, sketch. So I'm going to put it in a group just to kind of organize things, because I'm going to start having a lot of layers here. Let's see. Make this guy a little bit bigger. Where are we? This guy over to the right. So I like where this guy is heading. I'll have to flesh him out a little bit further with some sketching. And I'm going to go ahead and turn on Lazy Nuzimi Pro, because this program has become one of the most useful applications I've used with Photoshop. I suppose you can call it a plugin. Let's call this biped fine drawing. So I don't want to take too much time searching for what I want these to look like, so I'm just going to go ahead and say that the sketches that I have right now are enough. And I'm going to go to my Kyle's ink box. So these are Kyle's brushes. Oh, what's his last name? Kyle, I'm so sorry. Kyle Thompson? No. Kyle something. But his brushes are amazing. They just have completely rocked my world. Okay. I mean, with Lazy Nuzimi Pro combined with Kyle. You know what? I'm going to look up how to say. I think if you just Google Kyle brushes, Kyle Webster. That's what it is, Kyle Webster. So I highly suggest that you go to Kyle Webster's website. His brushes aren't that expensive. Some of them do cost money, but whatever. He took his time to make them, and I mean, they're just incredible. Like I can't imagine anybody else has taken so much time to create such high quality brushes. So this is a plug for Kyle Webster. Kyle Webster's brushes. Okay. So let's see what we can come up with here. I'm thinking of that could be some sort of eye shape. I'm going to back out a little bit. And so I see this guy is having sort of like a mushroom head. And one of these days, I'm going to get a Cintiq again. I had a Cintiq, but I sold it when I moved to Spain because it was just too big. And now I'm seeing these new Cintiqs on the market, like the Cintiq Pro. Let's just... looks incredible. Or no, it's not the Cintiq Pro. I forget what it's called. No, it is a Cintiq Pro. It's just like a screen. It almost looks like an iPad Pro. So along with like the sketches, I'm going to try to not get too detailed, because when we're in these sort of blue sky phases, when we're just figuring out what looks cool, or like what's some, what's possible, we don't want to spend too much time on individual pieces. We want to scrape together something and then move on as fast as possible. But that doesn't mean that in this case I'm going to just leave this guy as is. I want to, for my own personal benefit, I want to flesh this guy out a little bit. So I'm going to hold off on some things like clothing for now. I'm just going to try to figure out his anatomy and what it looks like. And I sort of imagine that more or less it'll be human, like in nature. So as you can probably see, I'm not a fan of spending too much time searching and correcting too much. I'll correct a couple things, but I like to just get something down and then move on. So let's see. Let's get like a big kind of skinny rib cage. So I imagine a bipedal creature, the anatomy will more or less be the same. But of course there are some things that we can play with. So get this pelvic bone in there like the other side. Alright, so let's see about the legs. I think the legs of this guy could be cool if they were that sort of kangaroo style leg. Let's see. I think that might be a little too skinny. Let's see if this will work down here. Alright, how does that look? Just kind of rough that out. It looks kind of interesting. Let's see, I'm going to draw out, I'm just going to fill that in. Right now he's androgynous. We can kind of leave him as that. swag down here. Yeah, those are a little too small. So let's see if we can't work with these somehow. So one thing I like to do is I like to take the marks that I've already used and in a sense reuse them instead of making completely new marks, because sometimes you can get away with it. Let's see, so I believe the pelvic bone would be more like that. And oops. Yeah, these are still too skinny. So let's, yeah, I mean, if something's bothering you, just fix it. So something like that. Get some kind of calf muscle in there. And I like the idea of there being like a little bit more of a bone here. Like really seeing that bone. And kind of curve that back forward. You can get like a little bit more in the glute there. So this guy's kind of cool. I like him. He's got some, right now he still doesn't really have much personality because he's not wearing anything. Let's see, let's get that bone right there. Okay, pop that knee out. Oh, that doesn't look good. Let's get rid of some of that down there. Let's bring that down and yeah, that looks alright. I think I can work with that. So let's get like the inside leg muscles. I think, yeah, this comes in more like that. Got your gastrocnemius. So in a way this is more kind of horse anatomy. And the feet down here, let's work with the feet. I'm gonna erase everything I did and just kind of start all over again. So taking a little bit extra time in these smaller areas, but the beauty is often in the details. So I'm going to allow myself to jump around. I think it's actually a good thing to do, to let your focus, I mean, at least for me, I'm going to speak for myself here, because you know, I don't know if it's a good thing for everybody to let their focus drift and move into other areas, but I, for one, kind of need to do that, because if I don't, I'll get a little, I'll kind of get way too invested in one specific area. Let's see, so there's a problem here. Problem with the anatomy. I think that looks a little bit better. We'll get back to it. Right now I'm gonna start filling out this other arm. Well, first we can mess with some of this area in here. Work some of the ab muscles in there. Just kind of give like a hint of certain things. And I'm not going to get too crazy with the exterior muscles, because I'm going to be covering this guy with different outfits. And of course, as I'm saying that, I'm going crazy with the exterior muscles. So let's get this other arm in here. Too short. Some sort of stance. I don't really know what he's doing. Let's see, and then get the other finger. Okay. So if we hide our back drawing, it's a nice, it's not a bad drawing that we have. There's a lot that we can do with it. But one thing I really don't like is these crazy, maybe if it were more like a little bit less pronounced. Those pelvic muscles were sort of bothering me. Yeah, I think that looks a little bit better. And one other thing that's bothering me that I just noticed is the perspective on the knees is a little bit off. If we look at our pelvic bone, our line, our perspective line is drawn on like that. But if you look at our knees, it's drawn on like that, and then our feet is drawn on like that. So the perspective's not matching up properly. So we'll have to move our leg up a little bit. Gotta love Photoshop. I think that's good. I'm taking a good while to get this drawing correct. And you know what? Let's actually get a nice arc on this leg. Something more like that. We can do the same over here. If I can. There we go. And we can kind of just allude to what's going on. Cool. Alright. Let's finish off these feet and then we're essentially done with this guy. Well, not done, but done enough. Okay, again, I don't. So when I'm doing this, I always have to keep telling myself, like, just put something down and move on. Because I always want to get really detailed. And it's hard to kind of force yourself sometimes when you like all that detail. Okay, so maybe you can, these will be sort of like nails. That does not look like a nail. Okay. And utilizing Alex's awesome brush, you can just get some of those nice little kind of detailed lines in there. Here I am again with details. Let's see how that looks. I like that. And it's pretty interesting. It's a pretty interesting looking character. Get rid of that. Kind of maybe leave, I'm going to leave that line in there. Just kind of, just leaving the outline. So again, I'm trying to not search too much. I just want to get something down and move on. Because the problem with searching, and by the way, what I mean by searching, I'll just show you in just a sec. Let me finish this. Let me finish this guy off. These nails in there. So to me, this looks fine. I think this is a decent drawing. There's some issues here. It's a little bit thicker at the base. So what we just need to do is something like that. Get like a little bit of a hint of a joint on the thumb there. And I'm gonna make this sort of get like a hint of a joint there as well. Like right there. Just fix up my lines a little bit. And I'm gonna do the same over here. Clean up this line. Ugh, I cannot wait for a Cintiq. Okay, cool. Alright, these hands are a little beefy. But I kind of want them to be beefy. Like, I want this guy to be slim, but with sort of like big, beefy hands. Okay. Cool. So, there's one guy down. And I'm not going to move as much as I want to. I'm not going to move any further into him. And so I'm going to move into this guy a little bit more. And what are we on right now? We're on Amazing Cartoon Nymph 4, so it's a really great brush that Kyle Webster has made. So I'm gonna go to one of his pencils, and I forget where it is. What is this? Oh, that's pretty nice. I'll use that. So I'm going to knock that down to about 5. That's too small. 8 pixels. That's pretty good. And knock down the flow to 80. Okay. So this guy is too hunched over, like he's in like some kind of battle stance. You know what? I think I might just get rid of this altogether. And just get like a nice gesture. And we've all seen this head before in Star Wars, and I don't really think it's really anything new. It can be sort of like bartering or something. I'm just looking for some kind of pose that this guy can have. Okay, I think that's good. I can work with that. So let's knock that back down. Go into our fine drawing again, and I'm going to grab that same brush. Where is it? Where is it? Amazing Cartoon Nib 4. Okay, I think last time I had it about 8 pixels. Let's turn it on to 7 pixels. Let's just get cracking. Okay, let's see. And there's this sort of okay, so now I'm gonna just try to capture that same gesture that I have there. I want it to be almost this kind of Gumby-like creature. You know, he's definitely no threat. He's more of a salesman, really. And he makes some kind of weird noise like... Okay, it's not bad. Okay, let's get that shoulder in there. Let's kind of bring the neck down into his body a little bit further. And this shoulder is here, so that means that we want this shoulder to be about there. Maybe even his limbs are these sort of bendable, flexible kind of appendages with a large, let's see, bam. So I'm definitely following more human anatomy here. But I imagine that this comic book and all of its aliens will appear, will have human influence. And it's kind of, you know, it's my call how far away I push the influence of human anatomy. And I want to keep it close, but I think it'll be a mistake to leave it too close. So here, this should be fun to do. Okay. And get the finger. Down like that. I don't want his finger to be too sharp. I always do that. I always add like a really sharp kind of finger. And typically with fingers, you want to add some kind of angles to them. You know, they want to have, you want to see the joints, and but this guy is weird. Let's just say that. He's just weird. Okay, let's see how that looks. I think that looks okay. I mean, that's good enough. I'm not going to get too crazy with the accuracy here. I more or less just want to move on. Let's get just some of those muscles working in there on the wrist. So he just has giant forearms. It's kind of funny. Okay. I'm going to go up here and fix this eye. Try to get it to read a little bit better. Okay, cool. You can get rid of that line, a little distracting. But one thing I want to do is I want to make that a little bit straighter and slant it down, and then bring. No, did I just make that worse? Yeah, I think I did. Alright, I'm just gonna leave that the way it is and just move on with the drawing. So just get my nice loose reference here. And this will, in a way, be his crotch. And we can just give like the hint of a gluteus muscle. I'm trying to really nail that line there. Then here I think it would be interesting if you had like a big patella. And then we can glide that down. Drawing with a tablet sometimes can require a bit of patience. Let's see, how are we doing? Yeah, I like it. And then you can have these kind of big, clumsy feet. And we can, I'm gonna hold off on the feet just a sec. I'm gonna get the other leg in, and then I'll hide our sketch. Let's see, yeah, just like that. Okay, let's see how that looks. Okay, cool. All right, so this is our refinement stage. So as much as I say about, you know, oh, we should hold off and not take up too much time, when you're refining, you should, in a sense, take your time. Maybe that's just an excuse to spend more time putting in these details. Okay. Do I like that third toe? No, I don't. Kind of make this foot in the process of stepping. Like he's taking a small step forward. I'm going to go in here and make these hands bigger. Oops. These big Gumby hands. So then we can go in here and just quickly fix up these lines. Sometimes you can get hands and Sometimes it just wants to give you a problem. Alright. Cool. Put these kind of little lines in there. So I love little lines. Like the little sort of detailed lines. Right? That just adds like a really nice quality. So that's what I'm, in a way, trying to restrain myself from doing, because there's other things to do here. Okay, cool. So we have two relatively finished drawings. Oh, I'm just gonna stretch out a little bit. So one thing I want to do with these guys is I want to fill them in based on their based on the outline that I've drawn. And I always find that going in and painting in the outline always takes a little, and what I mean by that is doing this and then going in and then erasing. So I always find that takes a little bit more time than going through and just kind of closing off all these areas. It's kind of a pain, but you know, at the same time you can sort of go through your line work and you know, fix it all up. Fix up some problem areas. And I've noticed that my line work isn't black. I'd like it to be black, so I'm going to just drop the lightness on everything and select black. So now the drawing is black. So I'm going to work from black just so I have an easy color to select. Okay. And remember that the most important thing is that there are no holes. Alright, really getting into this line drawing here. And in a way, this is how I'm planning on approaching this comic, in this same manner. I don't think I'm actually going to take this much time when I'm working on these, but oh well. I imagine that as I work on it, I'll come across, well, I'm counting on the idea that I'll come across different techniques that'll make the whole process go by faster. Sometimes you just kind of have to let fate take over. Oops. Looks like I erased a little bit of this guy over here. Man, Photoshop. Okay, I'm going to save because that was scary. Alright. Let's go ahead and take that guy. And here's what I'm talking about. Let's see, where is he? Is that him? Okay. Let's see, turn off contiguous. Oh, it looks like we still have a hole in here somewhere. Yeah, and here's the problem I'm talking about. Now, is it contiguous that I want? I always forget. Let's see. So there is a hole. Somewhere on this guy. Yeah, I mean, it could really even just be that. Let's see. I forget which one it is. And I might actually just go the other route, because I don't know where the hole is. I can't find it. So I'm just looking for a hole in my penmanship. And I cannot find it. Let's see. I mean, this technique is usually pretty foolproof. And I have this, and it's still selecting everything. Okay. I do not know where it is. Now what happens if we use this guy? Do we run into the same problem? Okay. So let's call him Gumby. And Sentinel. Oops, I don't know how to spell Sentinel. But I do know how to spell guard. So I have Gumby here. And yeah, Gumby's fine. Gumby works. Except for here. There is a little bit of an open space there. There's still open space. Ah, right there. Okay, so it's not there. Yeah, and that's that. So Gumby's all set. So I'm going to fill him in with gray. Oops, I need to invert that. Fill him in with gray. So now I have a nice Gumby mask. Then of course we need to remove this. Now the reason I like doing it this way is, for one, I think it's faster when it works. Sometimes it doesn't. But you also get a much nicer mask. You know, there's some areas that need to be cleaned up, but in general, the mask is much cleaner. And you get a really great silhouette. So I'm going to jump back to my guard here and try not to infuriate you guys too much. But I don't understand why we cannot find... Let's see, so here I filled that in. That's all filled in there. That's fine. That's nice and closed off. Move down the arm. That looks good. No problems here. I'm guessing it's somewhere in the hand. I think that was it. Nope. Still no good. So that was a problem, but we still need to find our line. Can fill that in. Okay, no. So I'm thinking maybe it's around some of the intersections. Looking for just a single space. Tiny, tiny little space where the lines are not closed off. Ah, there you are. Ah, got it. Cool. Okay, and we want to invert. Drop that below. Great. So now we have our guard and Gumby. Alright, and in about an hour we have a couple of pretty much finished drawings, along with a nice mask. And I definitely could have gone faster. I'm actually not too happy with the results. Well, I'm happy with the results, but I think the time that it took to arrive here, I'm not too happy with. I'll have to do a little bit better next time. So let's call this guard. Gumby. So for Gumby, okay, so he's like a merchant, right? Some sort of a merchant. So what we could do, I'm just trying to think of ways that we can progress. Okay. So we have our, so now we can move in with some experimentation on his clothing. So I imagine he's wearing some sort of robe, right? Let's make that bigger. Alright, so one thing I'm going to do, I'm going to stop trying to make my lines perfect, because I'm starting to find that it is taking a lot of time and effort, really. Because what we want here is just like a cool concept, right? So this will come down from here. Can remove this, the top part of the arm. You see how the underlining layer does help in determining where some of these lines go. So let's see. Give her that sort of nipple in there. Doesn't make much sense, so I'm going to move our robe line a little bit further. Okay. And we have our other robe. Which is over here. Kind of hanging down. Just like that. And we can give a hint of the arm going in. And he's like, and I'm thinking of him as a merchant of some sort, right? So we can give him some bracelets. Show that he has money, things to sell. Maybe even a few rings. So starting to move a little bit more rapidly. And I think that's what we want. I'm going to put a little bit of form on that. Because one thing about drawing is the form, or the drawing doesn't really start flowing until you've gotten like 80% of the way there. So I'm trying to get these lines on there, but I don't like how they look. Okay, so let's actually go back to subtle. Oh, woe is me. And the day I'll have a Cintiq. I know, excuses, excuses. But man, the Cintiq really does make it that much easier and a lot more fun to work in a digital medium. They're a bit pricey, but once you have it, you don't question the price. The next time I get one, I'm going to get a smaller Cintiq. Because like I said, I moved to Spain. I'm living in Spain now. And it was just simply too large to bring along. I couldn't fit it in any suitcases. It's just this giant piece of hardware. So I had to sell it. It was a very, very sad day. Okay, we can just try to get that line. Yeah, I like that. That's nice. Okay, we can go in here and erase his naked body. Okay, cool. And now down here, we can add some more details. Maybe he's wearing, you know, this is a dusty planet and he is a civilized creature. Civilized alien being, so I imagine he would be wearing some kind of sandal. I'm going to drop this down to 6 pixels. Sorry for all the Spanish in the background. Unless you're trying to learn Spanish. Because if you are, then these videos are actually good for you. Okay, just kind of getting in some these sort of like monk like let's see. I'm just gonna shut up for a moment. Wow, mucho ruido. So let's see, this can go down like that. Something like that. It's kind of a cool looking sandal. Make sure all my holes are all closed off. There's no holes in my line work. It's nice and clean and crisp. Working on this other sandal in the back here. Working on the inside of the foot, so I have to kind of imagine how that would look like. I really enjoy working from imagination. It's really a good time. So this is being flexed. I think I actually liked where that was before. So I think this is that part. And something like that. just hiding off that area, that part of the, this part of the, so this is the toe, it's being obscured by the toe. Yeah, there's two conversations going on in the background. I think one of my roommates is talking to her mom, and I think the other one is an argument. So, yeah. There's a lot going on over here. Casa España. Okay, cool. Alright, so this is looking pretty cool. I like where this is at. So for the purposes of this video, or this live stream, I'm going to go ahead and work with this guy here. And I'm going to paint him and make him look nice and cool and just like totally awesome. Alright, so let's drop that underneath and let's fill in, oops, I always do that. In reverse, and now we have our guy. And the mask looks pretty good. There's some kind of splintering going on in there. It doesn't look very sharp. So one thing I like to do is I like to select the mask. And of course I need to, there we go. So select the mask, create a mask, an actual mask based on its alpha channel, and I'm going to close up on a particularly bad area, like right up in here. I'm going to jump into the masking, and I'm just going to smooth it out. Smooth it out. And that looks better. And then we can, if we really want to be anal about this, we can, while we're still on the mask, we can go in and just get rid of some areas. But not necessary. It's looking good. I'm going to save. Okay. Very nice. So I'm going to make a color layer. I'm going to put this onto color. And from now on, I'm going to use just the standard brush. Standard brush is enough. So the robe, I'm thinking like yeah, something like that, like a nice red. Right. Oops. Okay. And again, turn down the spacing so that we have nice smooth lines. Okay. You know what I'm actually going to do? I'm going to turn this off of color and just turn on to normal. And make them flat colors, because what tends to happen is color picking becomes a problem when you have it on an adjustment layer. So I'm going to leave it on color. And I'm just going to make these just dead colors, not too worried about trying to get them to match exactly for the moment, because what this will allow us to do is select the individual colors and change the colors as we want. You'll see. I mean, you can look at it as being tedious. I don't think it's tedious. I actually kind of enjoy doing it. It's really just, you know, filling in your own lines. You know, we're not little children anymore. We can draw. And we're creating our own coloring book. I like to think of it that way. Okay. And we're using Photoshop, which just makes it infinitely easier. Alright, so I'm just doing the largest swaths of color first. Oops, did it twice. Okay. Alright, now I'm going to go through and choose a nice yellow and I just realized that Flux is on. So I'm going to go in and turn Flux off. Flux. Let's see, disable for an hour. Yeah, you see how the color changed there, huh? Okay, so we have our yellow selected. Go in and fill in the individual bracelets and jewelry that our merchant has. See, and this is why we want to just use standard color. A standard color channel as opposed to an adjustment layer. Because it makes it a lot easier to just go in and pick certain colors. Cool. So we have our nice yellows. I'm going to select our red here and kind of drop. I'm going to drop the opacity, and I'm going to make it slightly more brown. Yeah, I like that. That's better. Just fill all that in. Not trying to get too fancy. Trying to stay fancy, but not too fancy. Fancy. Like this guy. This guy is, he's pretty fancy. Very, very fancy. Okay. Run away with me. Okay. This is a nice, almost meditative process. Probably not the most fun to watch, but it's pretty fun to do. So we have our original naked guy over here on the left, and our green guy over here. Let's think, what can we do with his eyes? Maybe his eyes are blue or something. That's kind of cool. Blue eyes. Maybe even a light blue. Something like that. Yeah, that's cool. Yeah. Okay, so now what we have, we can apply our layer mask and go in. So now what we have is nice selectable areas that'll allow us to go in and change the color at will in certain parts. I'm going to turn the saturation up on this because he is a merchant and he wants to be seen. Oh yeah, okay. So let's go multiply. Let's just say mult. How are we doing on time? Okay, so we've hour and 20 minutes through. I'm going to do 30 more minutes and then we'll call it, or at least I'll just work until this guy's in a more completed state. So we want to grab our mask. And how do I want to do this? I feel like I always do this a different way. So let's put this on multiply. Okay. And I like to start off by doing something like this. Alright. So let's go in and I'm going to start painting out some of these areas. Actually, let's just go 100%. Oops. Let's see. Ooh. So let's apply that and let's grab another layer mask. Because I want to keep that nice gradient, but I also want to be able to go in and mess around with what we see here with our guy's face. Okay. So we can go in and just add a little bit of pizzazz. So I want this to look somewhat comic, like comic book art. Somewhat stylistic. because this is the, in a way, this is the approach that I'm going for, and I want it to, well, it's more that I'm working on developing this process where I can get some nice results relatively fast. It's kind of cool. It looks sort of old. Okay. Some highlights on to there. And maybe even some highlight right there on the neck, because the light is more or less falling down. Okay. So now, let's see. Let us see. So this is a fun process, because you can really get some cool shapes out of this. It's like you're working with shapes instead of trying to, and I mean, the thing is a lot of all of this is shapes. And what I mean by shapes is, I'm probably not making any sense, but what I mean by shapes is we are carving out shapes on the body with light and shadow. And in a way, what that allows us to accomplish is, like, we can almost work like sculptors. So just get that right there. And then all of that will be in shadow. So we just get the light on top of the hand. So you see how I can just sort of just carve out that shape right there. Just really nicely. And then we kind of get two things going on. We get that nice sort of anime comic book aesthetic. And let's see, let's just get like a little bit of that. So you get like a nice little anime comic book aesthetic, and but also a great what's the word I'm looking for? A great result, I think. So with Gumby, to make a, because I don't want to work on the white background anymore, do something like that. See, either darker, or lighter. Yeah, maybe somewhere around there. I can select that. Move that up. Yeah, now we just got like a nice little gradient to work on top of. What layer is this? This is mask. Okay, and let's see. So let's do an AO. And this, in a sense, is ambient occlusion. So just look at the difference that we get just from that simple layer. Try to copy this. There we go. Again, we're going to go black. No, multiply. And we're going to grab, we're going to use our nice brush here. I'm going to drop the opacity significantly. So we can grab an area here. I'm going to hide the selection so I can see what I'm doing. And just like that, just get a really, really nice gradient fade there. And one thing I love to do is I love adding the shadow from the head. It always makes things look a little bit more dimensional. Great. Now I'm gonna go in here, select, so I'm gonna put some nice ambient occlusion on the feet. That looks really nice. And then in the head, what I'll do here is I'll actually go into my trusty color layer and I'll turn off contiguous. So I'll make a selection of just the skin. Go back into my AO map. And do something like that. Just put in a couple of spots. And we can go back in and erase just some of the areas that we don't need. We don't need our ambient occlusion. Great. So if we take a gander on how that changes things a lot. So we can do our blacks. Use our mask again. looks like what do we have? Okay. And let's actually go about 70%. Let's not make this black. Of course, we want that. Well, let's grab our nice pressure brush and do that. And with this robe here, let's actually... What did I just do? Oh, right. Okay, let's go into the mask. And just get rid of just that outside edge. Give that robe section there just a little bit of dimension. Nope. Okay. All right. Looks a little frayed in here. I think that can be fixed. I don't know why I can't draw more than that. What's going on? Oh, because we are... I'm actually not sure what's going on. I think we're using a different mask. What if I delete that and use this one instead? That looks better. So the problem was the mask. Okay, so we can go in here again and make that dimensional again. Fantastic. Fantastic. Okay, and I'm just gonna do that because that always that never causes any issues. Do you know what I mean? And I'm gonna remove the black just on our gold rings. Nope. Alright, because we have a mask. Okay. Very cool. So what next? What is there to do now? Well, he is a rich merchant, so we can do robe deets. Let's see, 745. All right, we're doing good. We are doing good. So that's a little spot right there that I don't like. What is that? Why is that there? Alright, we can always go back in and kind of touch things up a little bit. In fact, I think I will do that. But let's go into robe deets. Let's grab our original mask. That's the one we want to use. And let's grab like a nice gold. And let's see, overlay. Let's see how that looks. Yeah, I think that looks okay. filling in some interest, some kind of filigree. Not too big of a fan of that, so let's go and do something such as this. Now it's nice to use the well, of course, the adjustment layer, because once we fall over into certain layers, like once we cover some of the lighter areas and the darker areas, the color adjusts accordingly, which is wicked nice. All right, let's go down here and do the same thing. Of course, it's kind of wrapping around, so we kind of want to close off those areas. And okay, let's see. So he's like a long kind of guy. So perhaps what kind of design can we do here? Oops. Let's go ahead and make a new layer. So I'm gonna just kind of mess around here and make some kind of design. That more or less works with this guy. This and move her over. Oh. That's kind of confusing. Oh, that's fine. Let's see. What else can we do here? Well, let's just go ahead and see how this looks. Because I want it to be somewhat simple. I don't want to get it. I don't want it to be too crazy and distracting. So let's bring this in here, and we'll put this on to overlay. And we can always mess around with our color mode and what that'll look like. Okay, so let's go to, we want to put on distort and give it some perspective. Now warp. Okay, what's going on here? Okay, just getting this into place. This is one of my favorite parts of doing one of these. Cool. Of course, we want to go in and remove that here. Set it behind the arm. And fortunately, because it's an adjustment layer, it coincides with everything we want. So I'm gonna, so I know that there's a way to be able to grab the layer color without, while it's in an adjustment layer, but I actually don't know how to do it, unfortunately. That's pretty sad, right? So maybe we can add some kind of cool filigree or something. Yeah, just messing around. Oops. Messing around. Okay, let's apply that. Grab our mask. Something sort of angular. Sort of matches his aesthetic. Cool. Sure. This guy's really old. So let's see. Nah, I liked it the way it was before. Oh man, okay, let's see, let's go back. Let's go back a ways. Okay, cool. So I think we're almost done here. And then I think we are almost done here. And I'm going to, just on top of everything, add some highlights. Now let's see, how does this look? Yeah, that's a little too crazy. So I think the way that we can do this part. Yeah, I know how I'm going to do this. Yeah. So, grab our color. Go into highlights. Make sure I have this color selected. Okay. I don't know, I'm starting to think it's not really necessary. Right? Yeah, because he already looks pretty good. So I'll just leave that be. Seems kind of extraneous. So I'll leave the highlighted layer on. And within these guys are gold pieces. I can always brighten these up a little bit. Gold. Very cool. And let's see, what else can we really do here? So this is our original drawing. We'll hide that. And we have our more finished Gumby. And I really like this style. You know what we can do? We can add ground shadow. That always really puts them into a place. So it's kind of like just like that. Let's go multiply. I guess it doesn't really matter if I put it on a multiplier or not. 10%. Something like that, and then we'll knock that down. Something like that. Cool, and there's our Gumby character. And we can even do something like this. We can add a stroke. Let's make it black. Just like it's a comic page. Let's put it on the inside so we have like a nice sharp border. Cool. Yeah, very nice. So I think this character is pretty cool. I like what he is and what he's doing. And I think we can even add some more. So let's call this skin deets. Let's make this red. And let's see. Do we want to add some kind of like tribal almost like religious? Come on, Jesus. Looks like he has some disease. Not too much like a nose. I don't like that either. I think we just leave that. Cool, Gumby. Awesome. So, I'm pretty happy with this. It took just about 2 hours to get to this stage, and like I was saying before, that's a long time. But this is, you know, going from a very, very quick sketch to well, what looks like a pretty finished result in my eyes. And I think this, in terms of a comic book aesthetic, is great. I'm really excited with how this came out. So in terms of this live stream, that's that. And next time I believe we'll be going down this route some more. I want to explore this aesthetic further. This sort of hard line on the outside, and this kind of simple coloring technique. It's especially the coloring technique itself. I think the longest, the part that takes the longest, I think, in terms of this video, is the drawing. So if we can speed up the drawing and get the drawing to a point where really it's the fastest part, then we can really start banging drawings out like this really fast. So cool. Thanks for watching, and until next time.